The London station of the British Broadcasting Company calling. 2LO calling.
Broadcasting is a development with which the future must reckon, and reckon seriously. Here is an instrument of almost incalculable importance in the social and political life of the community, in affairs national and international.
The Broadcasting Company is not a monopoly. Last year, the manufacturers of wireless apparatus met together by invitation of the Post Office, as it was realized that broadcasting would have to be controlled by one broadcasting authority if the chaos which today is so obvious in America were to be avoided here.
Having preached sometimes in cathedrals and sometimes in the kitchen of a doss house, I notice one great difference. Whether in the cathedral or the doss house, I could at any rate see my audience. Here I cannot.
On the air, if you have a little time to spare, you'll enjoy each minute, I declare, while we're on the air.
This is London calling. Mr. Pugh informed the Prime Minister that the TUC had decided to terminate the general strike forthwith.
Here is Mr. F. Hope Jones, our time expert.
Stand by. Are you ready? The last 5 seconds of the hour, and the last one will be the exact hour. Pip, 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 pip.
Good evening, everyone. This is A.J. Allen. I remember one night in 1923, I'd been to Savoy Hill, telling some story or other, and afterwards I was sitting in what they call the drawing room, having a yarn with the announcer.
Children's Hour from the North. Hello, children. Hello, children.
Hello, children.
Bye, everyone, and here's to the next time.
Well, the first half has been about as exciting as anyone could wish for. Oh, I can't go that. They're off again. They're changing over. It's Wales' kick this time. Pearl's taking it. He's kicking to the left. Wales defending the south end now.
Square 7.
There he goes. A long one. Sellers caught him.
My dear friends of the Promenade Concerts, I cannot tell you how glad I am to be with you tonight, the last night of a remarkable season.
As to programs, don't expect too much in the early days. The programs will neither be very interesting nor very good.
Through one of the marvels of modern science, I am enabled this Christmas Day to speak to all my people throughout the empire.
Events of major importance happened in Europe today. This morning, German troops made a formal entry into the demilitarized zone on the left bank of the Rhine.
Little Miss Bouncer loves an announcer down at the BBC.
She doesn't know his name, but how she rejoices when she hears that voice of voices.
At the present moment, the whole fleet is lit up. When I say lit up, I mean lit up by fairy lamps. We've forgotten the whole Royal Review. We've forgotten the Royal Review. The whole thing is lit up by fairy lamps. It's fantastic. It isn't a fleet at all. It's just, it's fairyland. The whole fleet is in fairyland.
This is the national program. Ladies and gentlemen, Music Hall.
Hello, people. Everybody happy? That's the idea.
Well, I'd like to be able to bring this bunch of records to you. And then I'd see from the look on your face whether each one pleased you or bored you. Songs, for instance, that we've heard so often, sung by our friends or by professional artists or played by bands or broadcast, do they still come to your mind with a fragrance of memory?
Good afternoon. I suppose one of the most difficult jobs to explain over the wireless is the pruning of fruit trees. I've had a good many tries, but I doubt whether I've ever made much of a success of it. But in response to many requests, I'm going to have another try.
Once again, we stop the mighty roar of London's traffic, and from the great crowds we bring to you some of the interesting people who've come by land, sea, and air to be in town tonight.
It's Monday night at 7. Can't you hear the chimes? They're telling you to take an easy chair, to settle by the far side. Look at your radio times. Monday night at 7's on the air.
Bandwagon, come on and make a trip upon the bandwagon. It's a wild voice, it's a grand wagon. Come on and pack your grip and join the bandwagon, starting now, boys.
Anyway, Mrs. Bagwash isn't worried about it.
Oh, she doesn't care a hoot. She said to me this morning, it's no good them Germans sitting up in those balloons over London trying to frighten us because they can't.
Travel on the bandwagon, come on and take a trip upon the bandwagon, starting now, boys. Take a trip,
skiddly boom,
take a trip,
skiddly boom.
Join the bandwagon, starting now, boys.
This is London. You will now hear a statement by the Prime Minister.
This morning, the British ambassador in Berlin handed the German government a final note stating that unless we heard from them by 11 o'clock, that they were prepared at once to withdraw their troops from Poland, a state of war would exist between us. I have to tell you now that no such undertaking has been received, and that consequently this country is at war with Germany.
Here is the Midnight News, and this is Alvar Liddell reading it.
This is the BBC Home and Forces programme. Here's the news. This is Wilfred Pickles reading it.
Pulsating with perspicacity, perpetuating pusillanimous prevarications, persistently producing paradoxal well, forevermore.
Private boy, with commanded boy, joy when trouble's brewing, it's brewing, and then again.
Can I do you now, sir?
For the BBC, Ramsbottom, and Enoch, and me.
Ladies and gentlemen, workers, playtime!
If you and your friends are in a cafe and a German comes in, tap out the V sign altogether. Have you got it?
Commande à tous les Français libres de continuer le combat.
On the wings of these melodies, the sentiments go from me to both of you, from you to her. Sincerely yours, Vera Lynn. We'll meet again, don't know where, don't know where.
So absurd and yet so grand and gallant that you hardly know whether to laugh or to cry when you read about them, was the part played in the difficult and dangerous embarkation, not by the warships, magnificent though they were, but by the little pleasure steamers.
Walter Elliot, Malcolm Sargent, Julian Huxley, Professor Joad and Commander Campbell are sitting in their corners with that quiet air of confidence only possible in the case of masters of ringcraft. That is the brain trust. The seconds are out of the ring, and here are the questions.
But how are you today? How's your tongue? Is it smooth and red, or knobby and beige with an overcoat of a muddy hue?
This is the BBC Home and Forces programme. Here is the news, and this is Bruce Belfridge reading it.
Aye, gang.
Shipmates ashore, men of the merchant navy from their well-known club near Piccadilly Circus send out their own programme over the seven seas. And here to begin it is their cheerful hostess and yours too, Doris Hare.
D-Day has come. Early this morning, the Allies began the assault on the northwestern face of Hitler's European fortress. War Report number 1. The story of D-Day.
I'm talking to you in midair from a Mitchell bomber. This is Invasion Day. It's just before dawn, and we're on our way over to the coast of France to bomb an important bridge.
This is the Allied Expeditionary Forces program of the BBC.
Leslie Mitchell in London.
Ben Grauer in New York. And from London and New York, Atlantic Spotlight.
The British, Canadian, and American troops who landed on the coast of France, north of the lovely town of Caen, in broad daylight this morning, are already several miles inland, on a front sufficiently broad to be more than a bridgehead.
In this barrage, we've got our 4.2-inch mortars, our field guns, our medium guns, all the guns of the fleet. The shells are whistling overhead now. Just listen to them.
Here, over an acre of ground, lay dead and dying people. You could not see which was which, except perhaps by a convulsive movement or the last quiver of a sigh from a living skeleton too weak to move.
Yesterday morning, at General Eisenhower's headquarters, General Jodl, the representative of the German High Command, and of Grand Admiral Dönitz, signed the act of unconditional surrender.
Well, back here at Piccadilly, it's still the same old story. There's still a terrific throng of people, and there's still the wonderful crowd they were 2 and 3 hours ago.
Ladies and gentlemen, we present Cap and Victory Bells, a special celebration edition of the popular Late Night Review, with Norton Wayne, Basil Radford, Sherry Lind, Hubert Gregg, Zoe Gale, Noel Gordon, Harry Jacobson, and Cliff Gordon.
There will be sporadic rain over the whole country, with thunderstorms in places, but there will be bright intervals in most districts. The weather will continue warm, except on the northeast coast, where there will be local fog. There's also news today of a long-lost friend, the Large Depression. It's turned up again between Ireland and the Azores, where it's reported at the moment to be almost stationary.
Good morning, everyone. This is the BBC Light programme on wavelengths of 1,500 and 261 metres.
Some other time, maybe.
I think not, Mr. Bond. You have played your last game.
Oh, blimey. Haven't we heard that remark before, sir?
Only about 200 times. Where would I be?
Yes, without Archie and
Oh,
me.
my Sunday helmet.
The devil is he doing? It's like a searchlight. Steve, get down! Get down, darling! There's no sign of a bullet mark anywhere.
Oh, what does that prove?
It proves that the man in the car deliberately aimed very wide. Or...
Or what, darling?
By Timothy, Steve, I've got it. He was using blanks.
Music While You Work, played this morning by Cecil Norman and the Rhythm Players.
This is the BBC third programme. How to Listen, including How Not to, How You Ought to, and How You Won't, by Stephen Potter and Joyce Grenfell. How?
Are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin.
To begin at the beginning. It is spring, moonless night in the small town, starless and Bible black, the cobbled streets silent and the hunched quarters and rabbit's wood limping invisible down to the slow black, crow black fishing boat bobbing sea.
This is your storyteller, the man in black. Here again to bring you another placid evening in our Far Side series, Appointment with Fear.
Oh, please, Mr. Grouser, sir, would you like me to carry your bag?
Carry my bag, Lamb? Where to?
Hello, children. Everywhere. This is Uncle Mac. Good morning to you all.
Let's pretend we're going along a country road. Here's the walking tune. Start away with me.
Hello, schools. It's a ceilidh, it's a party, it's a sing-song, it's Merry Christmas, it's Sing Christmas.
Philip Slessor, very happy indeed after such a long time, once again to be presenting the people of variety to a variety of people.
We present the first inaugural concert given in the Royal Festival Hall, London, at the commencement of the Festival of Britain.
We present the Wreath Lectures, an annual series of broadcasts named in honor of the BBC's first Director General.
You will have seen in your Radio Times the details of the new music program which starts today. This is the gentle beginning which will gather strength until by next March the BBC will broadcast more than twice as much good music as now.
This is Network 3. It's something new in sound broadcasting. In fact, it's the first time that these words have been heard on the air. They mark the beginning of a new BBC service quite different from anything we've done or experienced in past years.
The year was 1957, the morning bright and gay. On the 9th of February, John Oxon drove away.
Here's Ali Hassan to introduce the program in Hindustani.
Good morning. ये BBC की home service है.
Jimmy Kingsbury is going to give a few directions for anyone who may be listening to stereophonic broadcasting for the first time.
And to do so, I'm now moving from your right to a central position.
This program is an experiment, an exploration. It's been put together with enormous enthusiasm and equipment designed for other purposes. It's not a masterpiece, not even a minor one, and it's not a stunt. We think it's worth broadcasting as a perfectly serious first attempt to find out whether we can convey a new kind of emotional and intellectual experience by means of what we call radiophonic effects.
Journey into space. The BBC presents Jet Morgan in Operation Luna.
As much landing in the marsh. Although we've had a rarely good vacation, tiddly-pop-pop, as much landing in the marsh. We're happy to be back in circulation. It seems to us like ages since this little song we sang. And in the interim, I think the piano's had a prang. It's all right on the... then suddenly goes... as much landing in the marsh.
We present Peter Brock and Archie Andrews in Educating Archie.
Flippin' kid.
I hate Sundays. So do I, but there's one a week and there always has been, and there's nothing we can do about it. It's not like this on the continent. It's their big day over there. All the cafes open and football matches and race meetings. Everybody's gay. Not over here, though.
German officer outside, sir.
I surrender.
He's a prisoner, sir.
Oh, bring the coward and his money in.
Oh, Ron. It's just so out of the blue. I mean, after all this time. I mean, who'd have thought? Don't you agree, Ron?
No, eh?
Praise the Lord, praise the Lord. When you're feeling sad and blue, just praise the Lord, and soon you'll find you're losing that frown. A smile will spread all over the town.
A left hand down a bit.
Left hand down a... Bit too much by the sound of it, sir.
This is the BBC Light Programme and the British Forces Network in Germany.
The time in Britain is 12 noon. In Germany it's 1 p.m. But at home and away, once again, it's time for two-way family favourites.
Bumper bundle time. And first we're calling Gunner Colin Hill in BFPO 20 from his wife Brenda in Borrowdale Road, Northfield in Birmingham, who says she's longing for February when he's demoped. And somehow I don't think that's a slip of the pen. That's from Brenda to Colin.
Wakey, wake! Hey!
Now we've come round the pips for 9 o'clock. Now let's go round the corner and meet Kenneth Horne for Housewife's Choice. And round the corner I am. Good morning.
We'll sing the old songs like you used to do. We'll sing something simple for you, something for you.
Beatles beat off a second Jet Harris Tony Meehan challenge. Cliff isn't doing it as rapidly as has been in the case previously, and perhaps the life and soul of new top 10 hope next week is Billy Fury, and next week for Pick of the Pops. Next Sunday, all right? Right. Stay bright.
This is Saturday Club. And we're 5 today. Yes, this is our 5th birthday show, and the stars who've come along to join us in the party are, for the first time ever on British radio, the Everly Brothers, Frank Ifield, Kenny Ball's band, Joe Brown, Kathy Kirby, the Beatles, and many more.
Hello there, record lovers everywhere, and welcome to Record Roundabout. Hello, anybody there?
Oh, hello, I'm Julian. This is my friend Sandy. I've got my articles and he's taken silk.
Frequently. Well, Miss Strawn, how nice to valder your dolly old eek again. Oh, what brings you trolling in here?
Well, can you help me? I've erred.
Yeah, we've all erred, Ducky. I mean, it's common knowledge, isn't it, Jude?
Look, will you take my case?
Well, it depends on what it is. We've got a criminal practice that takes up most of our time.
Yes, but apart from that...
And that's the end of the forecast for coastal waters. The time is just now 10 minutes to 12. This is David Dunhill. And this is the end of the home service for today and for all days.
Music at morning time, music at night time, and music whenever you feel it's the right time to switch on and groove to the sounds that will let you know that you are happy, that you own a radio, and you can tune to the station that gives you a plentiful portion of powerful pop and is ready to serve you the music non-stop. So wait for the news that will happily say Radio 1 is at last on the way. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
There we end broadcasting in the night programme, not just for today, but as it seems, forever.
Good morning. This is Paul Hollingdale on this opening day of Radio 1 and Radio 2, welcoming you to Breakfast Special.
Stand by for switching. Get tuned to Radio 1 or 2. 5, 4, 3. Radio 2, Radio 1, go.
The voice of Radio 1. Just for fun. Music. Too much.
And good morning, everyone. Welcome to the exciting new sound of Radio 1. Yes, indeed, we've even got Arnold back. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first of the Tony Blackburn shows. I shall be waking up every morning except Sunday between 7 and 8:30. So let's away!
Right now, let me say one little thing before we go on to another fantastic record on BBC One. It's 12:11, we're going to heaven. You're listening to the Emperor Roscoe, that's R-O-S-K-O.
12:30 on Radio 1, the news in English. The Merseyside dock strike goes on. About 5,000 men met in Liverpool this morning.
This is BBC Radio Leicester.
To serve local people, to promote their interests, to promote their prosperity, to inform them what was going on in their neighbourhood, to be a forum for the discussion of their problems, in every way to help the local community and to make local life more interesting and to enrich the standard, the quality of life locally. That was what I wanted local radio to do, and I felt that there was a very great need in Britain.
Good afternoon from Radio Leicester, broadcasting on 95.05 VHF.
This is BBC Radio Sheffield on 88.6 VHF.
This is BBC Radio Stoke-on-Trent.
Radio Nottingham on VHF 94.8 and Rediffusion Channel C. Remember our slogan, tune in and listen, come in and take part.
Radio Merseyside, station where good things happen, swinging sounds of now. Radio Merseyside.
Leeds and the world at one. This is Alan Shaw reporting.
The time now is 8 o'clock. Here's Jonathan Fulford with the very first edition of Morning West.
Radio Manchester, Radio Manchester.
Well, here we are. We've arrived. Time now is exactly 5 1/4 past 6. You're in tune with BBC Radio Manchester.
My name's Hilary Osborne, and I shall be here to bring you the programme specially for the woman of the house.
On behalf of the people of Teesside, I would like to give a welcome to our own local radio station.
Hello, I'm the Ross bit of the Ross and Henry Show.
And on this groovy Saturday morning, you're listening to John Henry and to Leslie Ross.
I think we can help you. I'm putting you through to Countywide with Robin Pulford.
Good morning, 269 in Derby.
You're in tune with the coastal sound, BBC Radio Brighton. Time for Keith Slade to say, pleased to meet you.
From Dover to Dartford, Rochester to Romney, what goes on in the county goes on BBC Radio Kent.
That was BBC Radio Blackburn. This is BBC Radio Lancashire.
Radio York.
Radio Lincolnshire News, it's 5:10.
Travel you can trust.
BBC Somerset.
On 94.9 FM and 1458 AM, and on London Plus, this for the first time is Greater London Radio.
I'm Ken Goodwin, your breakfast show host. This morning we're literally all over the county.
Say, Walter Raleigh is credited with introducing tobacco to this country. I also introduced something else. What was it? First half of the word. Think of your husband's stomach.
Big?
No.
It's about my poll tax. I'm trying to get it sorted out.
I'm afraid you got the wrong number.
Well, I've been holding on for about 10 minutes and there's just been this music playing in my ear holes.
Do you want me to drive you?
I could get my own transport there.
You sure?
Yeah.
Because no one will touch you if I'm there, boy.
Let's bring in our political correspondent, Paul Rowley, who's with us.
Hello, Andrew.
Hello, David.
How are you doing, Betty?
I'm fine, thank you.
Beryl, how are you doing?
Say hello to your shiny new station, Bradford.
But we are purely, utterly weirdside.
All right, Bab. How am ya?
Make a difference. We've got all the best new under-the-radar, brand new tunes, all made in West Yorkshire.
Welcome along to a very special edition of Stereo Underground from the BBC.
On the BBC Sounds app, on your smart speaker,
Play BBC Radio Devon.
and on your radio.
The sound of Essex. The sound of Cumbria. The sound of Guernsey. The sound of Northamptonshire.
It's 12:30 now, and this is Vincent Kane inviting you all to meet for lunch.
From now until 9 o'clock, listeners to medium wave on 341 metres join Vincent Kane. Agar VHF, Nautic Dau, hyd Nautic Pimp, Ymunwn a Gwyn Llywelyn.
We were doing a Radio Wales programme in London recently, and there was a guy there. He knew there were some people there from Wales. He said, I hate the Welsh. Hate the Welsh, he said. They're all either rugby players or women of easy virtue. And a man nearby, a big fella too, said, "Hey, I take exception to that. My wife's well." She said, "Oh, how interesting. What position does she play?"
Ar Radio Digidol, ar Deledu, ar-lein ac ar BBC Sounds. Daniel Glyn ar BBC Radio Cymru 2.
Good morning, housewives and ladies. And good morning, everyone else. What a wonderful day. God's in his heaven, Elizabeth's on the throne, and the dole will open in 2 hours. So get up, get at it.
You're tuned to 92.7 in the VHF wave band. This is Radio Foyle.
Also, Nolan, this morning, how will the big beasts in the media across the water treat the DUP? A senior figure within Queen's University says...
Well, this is a gala night for radio. In fact, a new era of broadcasting in Scotland started today with the birth of Scotland's first national radio station. The new Radio Scotland on 370 metres and VHF.
Aye, a fine swing there. Colin Finlayson and the band with a Canadian band dance. The tunes again were the St Catherine's Pipe Band and the Balkan Hills.
BBC Radio Nagel, Martin Wagave Shaw, Adishta Matne, Le Don Modestan, Agus Seamus Donloch.
And on the Radio 1 Club, from Barry, more music.
Here we go! Moving radio band, it's really fast!
On the Tony Brandon Show, BBC, London W1A 1AA.
Greetings, music lovers.
Here we go! Bowling! Hello, darling.
4-7. It's David Hamilton's Hot Shot.
This is the Top 20s, compiled for the BBC by the British Market Research Bureau.
Radio 1 Roadshow.
Tomorrow morning, the Radio 1 Roadshow comes to you live from the Promenade Minehead with Tony Blackburn. Don't forget, the fun starts at 10.
The right side. Pop, 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 the question now.
29, please, John. Question 29. Who asked won't somebody dance with me?
Lindsay DePaul.
Is the right answer.
Bowling, bowling. Whoa, bowling plop.
Fun at 1.
And on the lunchtime news beat, the Indian bean that could beat diabetes and the cyclist who beat the speed limit for cars.
You beat. 275 and 285. 275 and 285.
Good morning, this is BBC National Radio 1 on its new frequencies of 275 and 285.
Radio 1. Tony Blackburn. Kenny Everett. Simon D. Emperor Roscoe. David Simon. Stuart Henry. Alan Freeman. David Hamilton. Tom Brown. John P. Keith Jensen. Lord Gambaccini. Paul Burnett. Noel Edmund. Nip Stewart. And Nightingale. Simon Bates. Dave Lee. Travis. Adrian Judd. Andy Peebles. Mike Reed. Steve Fry. Richard Skinner. Tommy Vance. Peter Powell. Adrian John. Mike Smith. Janice Long. Bruno Brooks. Simon Mayo. Gary Davis. Jackie Bramble. Andy Kershaw. Nicky Campbell.
Mark Goodyear, Jenny Costello, Gary King, 1FM.
Radio 1.
BBC World Service presents Radio Newsreel.
Hello again, this is Alexander MacLeod with 24 Hours. In this edition, Shiite Muslims...
Hello and welcome to Outlook. Ian Smith, he wasn't there for the celebrations, but...
New ideas.
BBC World Service Sports Roundup.
We have no less than 6 different places to go to between now and 17:45 Greenwich Mean Time. We've got to go to Lord's for the Benson Hedges Cup final there between Somerset and Nottinghamshire.
Hello, this is Margaret Howard back again with Letterbox.
BBC English by Radio invites all listeners to this programme to take a break.
A jolly good spell. And this is David Travis with you again with all the requests.
This is the BBC World Service for Africa.
A full 60 minutes of reports and analysis of the day's international news. News Hour will be on the air every day at 22 hours Greenwich Mean Time.
BBC World Service, the news, read by Marion Marshall.
Hello, this is Dan Damon with World Update from the BBC in London.
You're with Outlook.
I'm Jackie Leonard, and you're listening to the newsroom from the BBC World Service.
And for the very last time, we say this is The World Today.
The last edition of News Hour to be broadcast from Bush House.
12 بتوقيت غرينتش.
BBC 英国广播公司国际台，现在喺加拿大。
Добро пожаловать на 5-й этаж с Михаилом Смотряевым.
US President Donald Trump don't say him own nasi, Jong-un don't they respect America.
It's JR and Tallulah with the BBC Minute.
This is the BBC World Service, the world's radio station.
Each week, a well-known person is asked the question, if you were to be cast away alone on a desert island, which 8 gramophone records would you choose to have with you? As usual, the castaway is introduced by Roy Plumley.
On our desert island this week, ladies and gentlemen, Arthur Astley,
Peter Ustinov,
David Niven,
Her Royal Highness Princess Margaret, Countess of Snowdon, Les Dawson,
Jacqueline Dupre,
Sir Rafe Richardson,
Bernard Levin, Sue Lawley, Roy Hattersley, Benny Green, Aubrey Waugh,
Bill Bryson, Jonathan Miller, Seamus Heaney, Dirk Bogart, Dame Vera Lynn, Tony Blair, John Peel, Terence Stamp, Alexander McCall Smith,
Betty Driver, Professor Brian Cox, Sir Terry Wogan, Sebastian Coe, Sir David Attenborough,
Ian Wright, Sophia Loren. Welcome to Desert Island Discs.
The village of Ambridge lies in the heart of the English countryside, midway between the towns of Borchester and Felpersham.
It's an inferno in there. This will be as dry as a tinder. Come on, get well away. Oh, my gosh, we're lucky to get him out. Yes, certainly were. What's up?
Midnight couldn't have been tied. Look, she's going back into the stable.
What? No, Grace! No, don't do it!
Oh, no, me old beauty, oh, no. I'm going to give you the shock of your life. Here, now come along with me and keep quiet.
Oh, Lillian, I've made such a terrible mistake.
You don't mean...
Yeah, that pie was very nice, Clary. I'll recommend it.
Oh, glad you enjoyed it, Mike.
I need to be at the heart of a family.
Yeah, but however good it is, it won't do as much for our yield.
Jenny, you don't understand.
Oh, please.
You don't. My affair. It was with Siobhan.
Nigel, hang on!
Nigel! You want to know how you can leave? You see this knife? He was using slave labour. But not Philip, surely.
This is Radio 2.
3 minutes past 6, and it's good to have you awake bright and early for the Friday programme.
Hello, a very good morning, Great Britain. Is anybody there?
Yes, hello, and a very good morning to you. Nice to have you with me here once again, and a warm welcome to the Porridge programme.
BBC Radio 2 Traffic News.
Yeah, the situation in the air this morning, there's good weather here and on the continent, and there are no problems for air travellers on the domestic or European routes this morning. The windsock hanging limply in the autumnal air down at Gapport Airwick this morning. On the Rattlers, things are good too on mainline and intercity services, but there are 1 or 2 cancellations.
23 minutes past 6 is all a bit of a taradiddle, really, here at the BBC in the early mornings. I mean, you've got lots of things to contend with. I mean, if you're fed up with me, nobody would blame you.
Terry Wogan.
That's me, folks. A big hi.
Am I going too fast for you? It's Thursday, the 3rd of April, thanks to Ray Moore, grinning at me like a Cheshire cat, putting me right off.
Wogan's winner has won again. I don't believe it, you cry. Yes, the bookies quail and quiver all over the country. Gonna be obliged at 7-2. Ask me, did I have any money on it? Right. I have written to the BBC and Jimmy Young to protest about the drivelling pop music we get every morning.
Here. What ho, me old sparsely decorated divas. It's Chuffer Dandridge. Chuffer.
So, you turn up for work, have snorkers and caffeine delivered. No, we had the full Irish breakfast.
Ah, yes.
Or at least somebody's idea of a full Irish breakfast would be a can of Guinness, some jelly babies, a bottle of vodka.
And a donut.
And a donut.
Charlie Nove drives a bus. He wears old Blakey's hat. He forgets to break as he dreams a cake. He's such a useless...
So she got on her knees, rubbed some cream in it, and worked her fists up and down until I could see my face in it. She said it was a pleasure to find a man who wasn't afraid to splash out on a decent pair. And she was...
And why are you looking so glum? Was it because Ken Bruce had just come in?
They live happily ever after on a radio show, winding up each other and their listener and reading out made-up letters.
So, I'm going to miss you. Till we're together again in February. Have a happy Christmas. Thank you. Thank you for being my friend.
Oh, ring my chimes.
With a box full of records and a bag full of post.
Good evening and welcome.
A choice of listening on radio's 1
Morning.
Jaggers and Jaggers.
Good morning to you. This is Pete Murray behind the microphone. Our guest of the morning is Mr. Dick Emery, who we look forward to meeting in the very near future.
Radio 2 on medium wave and stereo VHF for you.
Stay tuned to 2 on November 23rd.
Morning all, thanks to Pete Murray for Open House and a warm welcome to the JY Show. In today's programme, we'll be finding out why innocent people are being convicted in the courts as a result of Steve
on Radio 2.
What's the recipe today, Jim?
What about the charge that any household with more than 2 people aged 18 and over in it are actually going to be worse off?
Well, I would not accept that. That depends very much on whether your local authority is a very high-spending local authority.
It's a good idea to encourage people to switch from their cars to public transport. Why does the Deputy Prime Minister still run 2 Jags, and doesn't he agree he'd set a very good example if he announced now that he was giving up at least one?
Yourselves, and it's JY saying BFN. Bye for now.
Hello. Hope you all had a fairly carefree weekend. I've been on my diet since I ate all those cream cakes on Friday at the Ritz. Today we'll be talking about food yet again, strangely enough, asking is there a link between food and behaviour? And Shaky has arrived, so start screaming.
David Hamilton's Music Game.
For rock anthems, we have a bit of rock and roll. Dion originally took this song into the charts in the 60s. 1984 saw this remake by which British group?
Hello again, good afternoon to you and welcome. Well, a weird and diverse collection of goodies today.
Hooray!
Wrong.
Yeah.
Wrong.
The Hungarian Glaswegian Geordie, Mark Knopfler.
Right!
Hooray!
Final thought, it's anonymous. If you listen to too much advice, you end up making other people's mistakes. That's true. Good night.
Hello again, Alan Dale back with you. Tonight, one of our big band sound specials. The music of Tommy Dorsey.
This is Humphrey Littleton with the best part of an hour of jazz between now and 5 to 10.
Hello, this is Jim Lloyd with Folk on 2. Tonight we have sessions from the Chieftains, Tim Laycock and Fidel Michel on record.
Hello,
and thanks for joining us this evening. And during our first hour, we'll be meeting up with two singers who've had some big hits but are still trying to make that last rung up the ladder to the top. We'll drop by Duke's Place in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Friday night is music night.
Hello and welcome to Radio 2's Arts Magazine with a couple of new books, itinerant jazzman George Chisholm and the opening night of the RSC's Stratford season, Round Midnight. From me and my lot, good night.
It's FA Cup third round Saturday, and this is 5 Live Sport.
It must be level Cambridge picking up the stroke. I think Cambridge are ahead. I don't know who's ahead. It's either Oxford or Cambridge. It's neck and neck the whole way over. This much. It's there! Kenny has scored! Kenny has scored number 4. Laid on by Stanley Matthews. Blackpool have scored number 4.
Bowles turns it on to Malacca Fields. He's out LBW, and Lakers taking all 10.
And Clay is down! Cooper has downed him! Oh, a beautiful punch there!
Headed away by Jack Charlton down to Nobby Stiles. Stiles with a long ball through to Ball, and Ball will run for all he's worth after this one. He turns it in. Can Hurst get a shot in? There's a chance for Jeff Hurst, and he's hit the bar. It must be a goal. I would have thought that went in, but he's not given it. George Best has scored.
Red Rum has 200 yards to run to make history. Tommy Stack is pushing Red Rum. The excitement here is tremendous. Red Rum has done it for
Virginia Wade has won the centenary title with the Queen watching her. Virginia will take tea with the Queen.
And Coe has beaten Graham, and what a marvellous finish. And Seb Coe gets the gold medal.
Ian Botham, what appeared to be a perfectly ordinary delivery on the off stump, but he has a magic arm, this man.
And the sun shines now.
It was a handball, no question about that. That was the only reason that Maradona was able to rise above the incensed Peter Shilton.
More or less tried to do the splits over it, and unfortunately the inner part of his thigh must have just removed the bail.
He just didn't quite get his leg over.
Solskjaer has won the European Cup for Manchester United.
This is the one. It's coming back for Johnny Wilkinson. He drops for World Cup glory.
Yes! And it's Frankel bounding clear, half a furlong left to go.
Bradley Wiggins becomes the most decorated British Olympian of all time.
And the nation roars as Ennis goes on to win the 800 metres. It's double gold for Mo Farah.
Lewis Hamilton is the winner.
Here comes Murray, and he's swung with it. Into the net goes Djokovic.
Gareth Southgate's England losing a penalty shootout in the final.
The Lionesses have finally won their first major trophy. England are European champions.
This is 606.
And this is Mike Ingham here with the FA Cup fourth round headlines made by 3rd Division Oxford. 3-0 winners at Brighton.
But as always at this time, we have the full classified football results, and we welcome back our specialist, James Alexander-Gordon.
Cannon League Division 1. Arsenal 1, Chelsea 1. Aston Villa 1, Coventry City 0. Everton 1, Tottenham Hotspur 4. Leicester City 2, Newcastle United 3.
This is BBC Radio 4.
But from the Today studio at just about 15 minutes... I can't read your writing. I've got a chap writing it out for me here, the silly fool, and I can't read his writing. Well, it's 16 minutes to and a half.
And beat, cross and up and beat, slap your sides, 1 and 2 and 3.
Good morning, this is Donald Peterson to take you up to the hour, drive you out to work, or send you round the dial to Radio 3.
It's 7 o'clock on Monday, the 1st of January. A
very good morning if you've just joined us from Robert Robinson in Paris and Douglas Cameron here in London.
You're listening to Today with John Timpson and Brian Redhead.
From John Timpson and Libby Purvis.
You're listening to Today with Jenny Murray and Peter Hobday.
This is Today with James Naughtie and Sue McGregor.
This is Today with Edward Starton and James Naughtie.
This is Today with Evan Davis and Justin Webb.
This is Today with Nick Robinson and Michelle.
Do you think we should have a 1 minute silence now in this interview? One, for you to apologise for daring to suggest that you know how I vote, and secondly, perhaps in memory of monetarism, which you've now discarded.
Downing Street, our source says, ordered, a week before publication, ordered it to be sexed up, to be made more exciting, and ordered more facts to be...
There have been so many crashes and quakes lately that public problems have pushed out our private ones. But this morning there have been no new disasters, thank God, and I'll return to a private problem that affects so many of us it deserves to go public. What do you do when you wake in the night and however much you try, you can't sleep?
Going out on Newsnight that is going to make massively serious allegations about a former senior political... Nobody even mentioned, in the context that we now understand, nobody even mentioned it.
No.
Isn't that extraordinary?
As I speak to you, I'm getting a call from Downing Street, so I'm going to take this call and I'll come back on to you in just a second.
Good morning from Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine, a city, a country under fire.
I shall miss the element of anarchy, Kenneth, which I've had to struggle to control in a sensory kind of way all those years.
Well, I want to say I'm not going. I'm not going. I had 3 days' notice after 15 years, and it's a bloody disgrace.
Well, there you are. There's a parting word from Kenneth Robinson.
Well, there's little doubt that England's cricketers saw the old year out, the new year in great style, retaining the Ashes and then, on New Year's Day, beating the Australians in the one-day international Perth.
Hello, today golf and history. Bernard Cornwell, the historical novelist, and Sam Torrance, the golf legend. So even a bit of golf history from Sam. And we have Richard Ingrams with his Lifetime's Commonplace book of random wisdom and anarchic epigrams. And Jane Asher, who is swishing around in purple velvet with grande dame elegance.
Hello, on the 2nd of July 1897, a young Italian living in Bayswater was awarded a patent for a new device. The official document explains that, according to this invention, electrical actions or manifestations are transmitted through the air, earth or water by means of electric oscillations of high frequency.
For 20 years now, I've been sitting down at this typewriter in Broadcasting House to peck out with 2 fingers the food programme script. I often feel it's only a matter of time before parties of school children will be coming to the BBC to watch me at work, much as they might be taken into what's left of the countryside to observe old men thatching or dry stone walling.
What's that funny smell?
Well, it could be our rather ancient cooker in the corner. You notice we have a cooker there.
Do you live here?
Well, it sometimes feels like it.
It's damp in here somewhere.
Many an aubergine has exploded in that oven.
An aubergine exploding. What an image, listeners.
Studies in this country, in Europe and in America suggest a significant number of women, particularly among the highly educated, are choosing not to have children. Well, today we'll ask why, how much is it a real choice, how much is it a source of regret in old age, and what reaction does a woman get when she says, I don't want to have a child?
Woman's Hour is it's not just a radio programme, it's one of the radio programmes.
Hello and welcome to Moneybox. In the programme this week, we'll be looking in detail at the Chancellor's new measures.
Which bank offers the best interest rates for savers?
The Halifax and Nationwide.
HSBC.
Santander.
NatWest, probably.
Well, in a moment we'll find out why every one of those answers is wrong.
This is You and Yours, introduced by Janine McMullen.
Travel and Gardening feature today. We'll be reporting on BA's return to profitability, the rise in air passenger duty.
A week tomorrow, national insurance tax will rise. Inflation is at a 30-year high. All in all, we're facing the biggest shock to our living standards since the 1950s.
This is William Hardcastle with the first edition of The World at One.
The government have accepted the new proposals to cut Britain's contribution to the common market budget. 660 refugees have now been taken off the South Pacific island of Espiritu Santo, which has been taken over by...
Do you foresee a serious diplomatic problem arising at the point when Kuwait has been liberated but Saddam Hussein is still in power?
I believe that this will have to be discussed by the Security Council.
Do we now say with confidence that life should be returning to normal by spring?
Yes.
Yes.
That's the world.
Yes.
At 1:40. This is Robin Day. Good afternoon to you.
So if you ask me, is it possible to produce top-quality fruit and vegetables and flowers without spray, the answer would be yes, because I've done it. And I totally agree, the things we've done to our environment don't bear thinking about.
My producer, Tony Smith, discovered that this is my 500th Down Your Way programme, and to mark the occasion, we've accepted a kind invitation to visit the old village of Hambledon in Hampshire.
Nobody has ever denied America a gift for melodrama, in its history as well as its literature. But I've noticed there's an equally reliable and lamentable tendency in Europe to report even the gravest American political upheaval as some sort of comic horror film.
My Music. A musical quiz devised by Edward J. Mason and Tony Schreier.
Brain of Britain, 1976. Now, Mr. Hamlet, which horse won last year's Grand National?
Triple Victory.
No.
Very
Yes.
inaptly named Lescargo the snail.
Yes, Mr. Chivers, quite right.
A Dane known for pelagic confrontation crossing a Cheshire River is fictively linked with a similar water source on the other side of England, which seems to be reaching the hard way for the stars. Another source accompanies gallinaceous gratitude in the USA. Then she says, what is the plucky French link?
Which opera features the popular aria known in English as On with the Motley? Mr. Goodman.
Pagliacci.
Pagliacci is correct.
Long years ago, in the second age of Middle-earth, the elven smiths of Eregion forged rings of great power. Then the Dark Lord Sauron forged one ring in the fires of Mount Doom in the land of Mordor.
The more it snows, tiddly-pom. Tiddly what? Said Piglet. Pom, said Pooh. And I put that in to make it more hummy.
I think the spot is a boil. Just my luck to have it where everyone can see it on my chin. I pointed out to my mother that I hadn't had any vitamin C today. She said, "Go and buy an orange then. This is typical. I will be glad to get back to school."
Oh dearie me, Spoonface will have to go straight to the hospital, which is where I went. It was all right, as I had been before to do the numbers.
My name is Frank Twist, and if you ever have the misfortune to be arrested in England's sunny northwest, there's a fair chance that either me, Debbie Harrison, or another of my team of legal advisors will be looking after your interests.
Mrs. Hewitt.
Yes?
DCI Johnstone. This is DI Tanner and DS Kelly. We have a warrant to search the property.
Charles Paris, International Man of Mystery.
The only mystery is that you've got a functioning liver.
A murder had been announced in the Chipping Cleghorn Gazette to take place at Little Paddocks at 6:30 p.m. And precisely at that hour, a man had broken into the drawing room where all the neighbours had assembled, thinking it was some kind of game, had fired off 2 shots, and then apparently turned his gun on himself.
To fulfill the dream of a lifetime, I had decided to give myself a little holiday on the River Nile. At first, everything was calm and serene, but then I found myself being drawn into a very curious affair.
Now, supposing the boat had come in when the tide was out and the occupant had walked or waded up to the rock.
That's possible, of course. The boat was some way out.
It all seems to depend on when the corpse got there. The sinister affair of Gussie Finknottle, Madeline Bassett, Old Pop Bassett, Roderick Spode, Stiffy Bing, the small brown leather-covered notebook, and the 18th century cow creamer, which I'm about to relate in 7 helpings, took place a few months after that grisly business at Brinkley Court, my Aunt Dahlia's country seat, which I've just finished telling you about.
Hello.
Hello again.
It's PM at 5 p.m.
It's PM at 5 p.m.
Robert Williams and Susanna Simons.
And in PM in the next 50 minutes, all the news.
It's PM at 5 p.m. with Jeremy Vine and Chris Lowe.
When she appointed him, she knew that he'd published a poem about the Turkish president having sex with a goat. She knew he described President Obama as part Kenyan. She knew he referred to Papua New Guinea-style orgies of cannibalism and chief-killing.
Getting fed up with it all? Alas, the nation's Houdini-like escape from lockdown is not ready yet.
BBC News at 6 o'clock. Good evening, this is Peter Donaldson.
Janice Keihani Kukuakahi Hulie Kahan Ele, whose traditional Hawaiian name comes from her late husband, said she would never consider using a shortened version because she loved the Polynesian culture.
Abiman also won several Emmys, including one in 1973 for a film which featured a police detective called
How good is your memory for those voices from Kaleidoscope from the last, should I say, our first 10 years? Shirley MacLaine, John le Carre, David Hockney, Peter Ustinov, and of course they were only a fraction from the total of what must be several thousand.
To tell the truth, lying is what concerns us this week. Politics and lying, to be precise. Some people think they're synonymous, of course.
Let me say at once, ladies and gentlemen, that I do not want to bore you, if I can possibly avoid it. And to that extent, I'm an entertainer.
We cannot have certainties. People say, give us facts. You can't have facts about the future, 10 or 20 years ahead. We have got to make a judgment.
I think what people really hated about Prime Minister's questions in the last Parliament wasn't the sycophantic questions, although there were certainly plenty of those. It was this bear garden with men, behaving rather like public schoolboys or being public schoolboys, yelling at each other across the floor of the House.
Well, it's all very well, the Bishop's saying, if only the rich were kind and the poor were patient, it'll be all right when we're dead. We want it now. And I think that's the most important difference, because in my opinion, what are called market forces are handing our future over to gamblers.
The World Tonight. Good evening, this is Alexander MacLeod. The Sinn Féin leader, Gerry Adams, has arrived in New York after being allowed a visa for the first time for 20 years.
The World Tonight. Good evening, this is Robin Lustig. The East German government is opening its borders with West Berlin and West Germany, allowing virtually free travel for its citizens.
It's 10 o'clock. This is The World Tonight with Ritula Shah. 24 hours after the electorate voted for a hung parliament, the politicians are still trying to work out who'll form the next government.
And now on Radio 4, we begin our new Book at Bedtime.
This is Study on 4 on Radio 4 VHF.
Order, order.
Today in Parliament.
If you have been, thanks for listening.
And now the shipping forecast issued by the Met Office on behalf of the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency.
Viking, North Utsira, South Utsira, Forties.
Cromarty, 4th. Tyne, Dogger.
Fisher, German Bight, Humber.
Thames, Dover, White.
Portland, Plymouth, Biscay.
Trafalgar.
Fitzroy, Seoul.
Lundy, Fastnet.
Irish Sea.
Shannon, Rockall, Malin, Hebrides. Bailey.
Fair Isle, Faroes.
South East Iceland.
And that completes the shipping bulletin.
Thank you so much for your company. Have a good night.
The Queen has now been anointed, crowned and enthroned. The solemn homage will now be done.
If I am asked today what I think about family life after 25 years of marriage, I can answer with equal simplicity and conviction. I am for it.
And now the great west doors of St. Paul's opened, and the Prince of Wales leads his bride out to present her to the people of London and to the world.
It has turned out to be an annus horribilis.
This is Radio 1 with the news that Diana, Princess of Wales, has been killed in a car crash in Paris.
We will be with our friends again. We will be with our families again. We will meet again.
This is BBC News. We're interrupting our schedules for the following announcement. Buckingham Palace has announced the death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
This is the BBC Third Programme.
Good morning, this is Tom Crow in London.
Good morning, everyone. It's Patricia Hughes in London.
And now the Lilac Fairy has done her stuff again and guided you through all the obstacles put in your way by the wicked Albanian Karabos and brought you to the land at the other end of the cyclorama. Wonderful 247 metres.
9 o'clock, and I'll read you the news when I can find it. At the moment, I've lost it.
Welcome to the start of a week-long Radio 3 breakfast Highland journey, which will take us along the Great Glen, via Loch Ness, the Caledonian Canal, a ferry from Oban, and finally the Isle of Mull, with a view out to the Atlantic Ocean.
Composer of the Week is a little different this week. This is the beginning of a mammoth year-long project, and what must be one of the most ambitious projects BBC Radio 3 has ever embarked on in the more than 70 years of its existence, where we're celebrating the composer who is perhaps the cornerstone of classical music, Ludwig van Beethoven.
Piers Burton Page is our guide to an opera that's by and large been pretty fortunate on record, and Billy Budd begins somewhere and in a way you might not expect for a naval opera.
Do you know which famous English conductor was born in St Helens, Lancashire, belonged to a family who made a fortune in pills, enjoyed cricket, chess and billiards, used to sing bass in a madrigal group, and once practised the trombone in a rowing boat right out in the middle of a Swiss lake?
The man put down the case, removed his hat, and sat down at the piano. He then played a few notes of Schubert, and I swear that to this day I have never heard anyone produce so meltingly beautiful a sound from the keyboard.
We begin today with a Duke Ellington record asked for by Jim Wilson of Shrewsbury Road, London, SE26. Not a classic, he says, but interesting because apparently Duke pulled a complete surprise on trombonist Lawrence Brown and everybody else in the band by suddenly calling for a number they hadn't played for years.
It's difficult to think of any Shakespearean incidental music which captures the spirit of the play concerned more perfectly than Mendelssohn's score for A Midsummer Night's Dream.
On behalf of the Dean and Chapter, I welcome you warmly to Westminster Abbey for this service of choral evensong.
Here on BBC Radio 3 FM, though, you do have the extra advantage of stereo cricket for the first time, which means that in a moment or two, Jonathan Agnew will be where the first violins were, and Trevor Bailey will be approximately where the double basses were.
It's a great honour to have His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales with me today as our special guest for Private Passions.
Georgia Mann here with you until 5 o'clock when Sean Rafferty will sweep open the doors of the In Tune Salon.
Hello and welcome to Lake Junction.
Hello, I'm John Shea and welcome again to BBC Radio 3 Through the Night.
And also the end of broadcasting on Radio 3 until 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Until then, it's good night from us all.
And now Radio 1, in association with Billboard magazine, presents 25 years of rock.
Straight in, the Radio 1 Top 40, position number 26. That's a new entry, Duran Duran and Another Cool Planet Earth.
It's 1960 on the Golden Hour. Rome Olympics were on, a day of disaster for Britain on September the 1st. Out of the winning hopes, Gordon Peary, 8th on the 5,000 metres, and Mary Bignell, surprise, was 9th in the long jump. And then things went well for us because in the Olympics on the 8th of September 20 years ago, gold for Britain in Rome when Don Thompson won the 50-kilometre walk.
Until next week's Paul Gambaccini Show plays next week's American hits. Blondie, our number one with Call Me.
Well, hello there. This is Thomas Vance here, and welcome once again to the Friday Rock Show. I was thinking that after 2.5 hours of all that English music, I'd have a continental start to my program, so après Plastic Bertrand, here is Ringo, and Qui est le grand cowboy noir.
Do you know, I nearly didn't get in here this evening. I had a spot of trouble on the estate, as one occasionally does. Caught one of the workers eating French apples again, and he was given the statutory 100 lashes. Family, making a lot of fuss about it. Anyway, on tonight's programme, sections from orchestral manoeuvres in the dark and from the only ones, and first from the only ones in quite a while, obviously, and the first broadcast of it tonight. Amongst the records, we've got a couple of tracks from Misty, from an LP issued in Belgium, I think. And we've got a shockingly inadequate look at several local compilations. Got a new single from the Body Snatchers, plus further works from the Birthday Party, Crash Course in Science, Disorder, Steel Pulse, The Mechanics, Weird Strings, General Leon, Radiation, the Riotous Brothers. And the start of the programme is at Chelsea.
Hello, how are you doing? Welcome to a show with taste and good music tonight. Go back to 78 for Radio. Take it away, Elvis.
Well, have you know, I got 2 O-levels at school, art and geography. Great for colouring in Ordnance Survey maps, but apart from that... I'd have had a couple less, I might have had a daily show.
I'm Bruno Brooks, thank you very much for listening. We're back tomorrow afternoon with a tea time show at 5:45. Meanwhile, whatever you're doing tonight, have a nice night. Addie Nightingale's next on Radio 1.
Hi. It's 12 noon in London, 7 a.m. in Philadelphia, and around the world it's time for Live Aid.
Your favorites, old and new. So good morning from all of the crew. Here he is.
1FM, Simon May.
Coming up between 8 and 9.
Yes, Albinone is Adagio, so it's confession time, and Tori Amos has joined us this morning, as I promised. Morning, Tori.
Hi, Simon.
How are you?
Fine.
Welcome.
Nervous. I've never confessed anything.
Your dreams will come true. Radio 1's 31 Days in May.
5'10.5", faded suntan, smooth, suave, sophisticated. So congratulations to Blur, who've won the most talked about race to the #1 slot in the history of the chart, pretty much. Country House straight into the top. And congratulations, of course, to Oasis, straight in at 2 with Roll With It, because if there's one thing this week's chart proves, it's that British pop is still the best in the world.
Is anybody out there?
Mark Radcliffe!
It's very nice to be able to play that tonight on such an important night. This is Radio 1's first all-night show through until 4 o'clock. Bob Harris till Gary King comes along with Julia Fordham now and Happy Ever After.
1FM's evening session and playing live on the show tonight. We have Oasis. Welcome in the studio now. Liam, Noel and Paul, welcome.
Marconi's listening in the heavens, and Marconi, I thank you. And I can do the technical bits as well, you see. That's a great bonus for me. Not only am I very funny, but I can actually do the job.
Time across then to Radio 1's Flying Spy for the first time this morning. Major Hold-Ups is fresh from his early briefing, aren't you? Morning, Major.
Taxing for departure with the latest target points and radio positions. I've had to put my icing boots on today because it's very chilly and very, very frosty and also very snowy.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to Radio 5.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Take 5.
Welcome to the brand new network and the first special holiday programme on Radio 5. Take 5. I'm Bruno Brooks. We've got some great music for you.
Good morning. Breakfast with the Morning Edition team and start your day in a relaxed and congenial way. We'll keep you up to date with the latest news, sport, and our unique city.
Welcome to Monday's edition of The Mix. Now till 11 o'clock with me, Mark Thomas. Tonight, Flowered Up Live, local council censorship, and a woman who sleeps with kangaroos.
You're listening to Rhys Hughes on Radio 5's Hit the North. Rhys Hughes, the man with the golden head.
The North.
Winston Diggins arrived at Wigley Park extra early. His friend Matt the milkman was surprised to see him up and about at that time.
This is Andy Smith's Drive-In.
And you're listening to Euromix.
Radio 5 on, off. 1, 2, 3... Oh, hang on a minute, Nigel.
Good morning. Welcome to a new network, Radio 5 Live, news and sport from the BBC 24 hours a day. It's 5 o'clock on Monday the 28th of March. I'm Jane Garvey and this is Morning Reports. The news headlines: 30 are dead in tornadoes in America.
In sport, Manchester United's dream of the domestic treble is over. Aston Villa beat them by 3-1 in a memorable Coca-Cola Cup final at Wembley. England's cricketers are in a strong position after 3 days of the third test.
I'm Adrian Chiles. It's a big week for Westland Helicopters. Will shareholders fall for the charms of GKN?
I'm John Champion, and this is Champion Sport, which tonight concentrates on the Premiership football match at Bramall Lane.
Thank you, Sybil. It's 4 o'clock. This is Drive with Peter Allen and Jane Garvey, and these are the headlines.
Can I just stop you there? Breaking news in here at 5 Live. There are reports that a plane has crashed into the World Trade Center, setting it on fire.
Just over 2 hours ago, the Northern Alliance took control of the Afghan capital, Kabul.
Morning, Mr. Whelan.
Morning, Fee.
Morning, Mr. Pearce.
Good morning, Fee.
Shall we start with strikes?
Why don't we?
So, any moment now, Mr. Hayes will leave the building.
Live from the BBC News Centre, this is Richard Dallin with Up All Night.
On digital, online, smartphone and tablet, this is BBC 5 Live.
With the 5 Live News, I'm Rachel Bland. The Australian authorities say a plane has spotted...
Go and see it. It's profound. It has stuff to say about sexuality, about religion, about childhood, about adulthood.
Tim in Manchester says commodish.
I mean, joyful tears. It's screen poetry.
A commodian, derivative of commodian, to be full of effluent.
I'm Colin Murray and this is Fighting Talk.
5 Live Sport.
I'm Mark Pugach. This is 5 Live Sport.
Good afternoon, I'm Ian Payne.
Good evening, I'm Mark Chapman.
You're listening to 5 Live Sport with me, Eleanor Oldroyd.
Welcome to Wembley.
And England against Scotland.
Thank you. It's 909 and 693 medium wave. And had you been listening to these frequencies a couple of days before the last major royal wedding in 1981, Gabby would have been John Dunn and I would have been presenting Radio 2's Family Favourites.
Does he ask for red sauce? Does he ask for brown sauce? Does he ask for no sauce at all?
Over Britain, it's 2:05, 9:05, where Highway I-95 crosses the city of Providence, Rhode Island at junction 19. That huge bug on the top of the New England Pest Control Company is an outsized termite. They call him Nibbles Woodaway. He costs $20,000 to build and he weighs 2 tons.
Can I ask if you've had a drink today?
Yes, I have.
Can I ask how much?
Am I on the radio at the moment?
Yes, Rachel.
It's because what it does
80% of the British public support this deal, the draft deal. How on earth do we know that yet?
Okay, let me back.
Good morning, it's 5 o'clock. You're with 5 Live Breakfast with Nikki Campbell. And make no mistake about it, we are in the middle of a massive news story.
5 Live Drive.
Tony Livesey and Claire McDonnell.
Ooh, that's new.
They say sometimes a little knowledge is a dangerous thing. Kenneth Williams.
They don't say anything of the kind.
No, it's the wrong quotation.
You see, it's a little learning is a dangerous thing.
Nevertheless, they do say a little...
Shut your mouth!
Anyone could say.
He's always trying to get one better than me. He's always doing it. It just objects the fact I've got this lovely hair.
Pulpit. What to do with a Jeffrey Archer novel?
Iconoclastic. A rubber band for securing religious paintings.
First, following our appeal for more listener reaction, I see we've received over 700 letters this week, and they come from a Mrs. Trellis of North Wales. The expert's expert was, of course, Lionel Blair. Who can ever forget opposing team captain Eunice Stubbs sitting open-mouthed as he tried to pull off 12 angry men in under 2 minutes.
Oh, Hamish. You've had your tea.
Yes, I've had my tea. I had another of my cream horns.
Oh, did you? Well, it doesn't show.
Turnpike Lane.
That was fantastic play, Jeremy.
Thank you very much indeed.
I love you, Jeremy.
At the piano, we have Colin Searle.
And points mean a sickening Pavlovian response indicative of a damning intellectual torpor. What do points mean?
Yes.
Your move?
Donis Hill.
Mornington Crescent.
Yeah.
And now here is next week's news. The weekend. The Director General of the BBC denies Equity's claim that the corporation is a penny-a-week boss and says he's getting at least 3 times as much as that.
We're very sorry about that. But now...
Eric A Scriptwriter's Guide to the Galaxy by a man who would rather write Doctor Who. Starring Peter Jones as this bit.
Far out in the uncharted backwaters of the unfashionable end of the western spiral arm of the galaxy lies a small, unregarded yellow sun. Orbiting this at a distance of roughly 90 million miles is an utterly insignificant little blue-green planet whose ape-descended life forms are so amazingly primitive that they still think digital watches are a pretty neat idea.
And a great good morning. Hi, Mike Flex here. Look after yourselves and thanks for the money. My name is Mike Flex.
Mike Flex.
Yep, Mike Flex. And by one of those happy coincidences, this is the Mike Flex Show. And thank you for all those of you who wrote in for the Find a New Name for Mike Flex competition. We still haven't picked the winner, but thank you to Joy for suggesting old Dustbin Head. We'll have a brand new competition later on when we'll be inviting you to find a name for the microphone. So, plenty of fun there, I would think. Well, you're listening to...
Radioactive. Next. Well, Mr. Friggins.
Oh, hello, Doctor.
Now, what seems to be the problem this time?
I wondered if you could give me something for this.
We are the Grumbleweeds. Well, we are the Grumbleweeds.
Was it not Goethe who said, Das Fasak ist Nagerein? Well, no, it wasn't.
Wonderful. I imagine we're going to find that this is full of quotations.
Barnsley Council's nuclear bomb-proof shelter has been closed after being destroyed by vandals.
A scaffolder was unaware that he'd shot himself in the head with a rivet gun until he went to the canteen and found he couldn't take his hard hat off.
Owing to drought and shortage of water, we have closed 3 lanes of the swimming pool.
Good eve news. Today's leading items classified and abbreviated into a taster section which serves as a prelude to more detailed elucidation.
The headlines.
Brilliant professor unplugged by careless cleaner, 300-ton flag pulled out of Shepherd, and 7-inch man in catering sabotage.
On the hour, pictured this. Recording studios somewhere far, far away.
What time is it? It's time for
the Merry White House Experience.
Don't want any of that stuffy nonsense on Radio 1. Give me some dangerous radio. Do you hear me? Dangerous radio.
Dangerous radio. What do you mean, a radio with the back off and the live wire hanging down into the bath, sir? That sort of thing?
No. I mean challenging, vital, filthy, downright disgusting, offensive, dangerous radio. That's your brief.
You wanted to see me, Minister?
Yes, why wasn't I told about these fingerprint checks?
You didn't ask, Minister.
Well, I shouldn't need to ask.
On the contrary, Minister, I can't tell you if you don't ask, because once I've told you, you know. And it might be better if you didn't know.
Well, why would I want not to know?
Because once you know, then you can't say you didn't know.
So if I don't know, I shouldn't ask, because once I know, I can't say I didn't know. That's ridiculous.
I know, but you never know when you might need to claim you didn't know, in which case it's much better that you actually didn't know, rather than having to pretend you didn't know when in fact you knew. So if I know it would be better for you not to know, I make sure you don't ask.
And if I do ask?
I claim I don't know. The Now Show!
Shoes were invented by Jesus.
Brazil nuts are a type of nut and were named after former Ipswich Town striker and TalkSport breakfast show host Alan Brazil.
Holly.
Brazil nuts are a type of nut.
No.
Arthur's trying to learn the phonetic alphabet. He favours the spot check method of revision. None of the above, Arthur, no.
Molecule, mongoose. Mosquito, shorter, mosque. It's a name. McNamara, Mitchinson, moon.
A first name.
Martin, Maggie, Millie, Molly, Mandy, Matthew, Michael.
Nearly, shorter.
Mickey, Mick, Me, M.
No, Arthur, the phonetic alphabet version of the letter M is not M. It's Mike.
Oh, I was close then.
Come to have the Strong's Radio Show.
Monday. Just as Sherlock Holmes had a filing system based on the quantity of the dust on his desk, the experienced freelance writer learns to assess the value of an envelope's contents by its thickness. Several folded pages might suggest a healthy royalty statement, but hopes are invariably dashed by the long list of emerging nations who have enjoyed watching one's episode of Tenko several dozen times at a rate of 0.002 pence per showing.
In a world filled with death and despair, there is one group of British superheroes dedicated to upholding all that's good and decent. Sir Ian McKellen. Open the gates to Mordor! Sir Patrick Stewart.
Open hailing frequencies, Mr. Riker.
Dame Judi Dench.
Open fire, 007.
And Alan Bennett.
Open sandwich barrel.
The digital radio station for comedy and drama. BBC Radio 7.
You are entering the 7th dimension.
You are listening to the Comedy Club.
Comedy Club.
This is the Comedy Club.
This is the Comedy Club.
Oh, come on in, let's have a laugh.
Where do you think you're going?
BBC Radio 4
Extra.
This is Six Music.
From the BBC.
Good morning, it's Monday, the 11th of March 2002, and you are listening to Six Music from the BBC. My name is Phil Jupitus. I'll be your host for the next year.
Time to get back to the chain, and we go over to Northern Ireland where we talk to Steve. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Mark. It's Steve here in Northern Ireland.
Sound like Stuart, and Stuart's gone from in this room. It's a bit of a coincidence, wouldn't you say, Steve?
A lot of people do sound like Stuart Mark, but that's just a coincidence. It's definitely Steve here. I'm definitely in Northern Ireland.
Right, OK.
For the next 3 hours, this is the Craig Charles Funk and Soul Show.
Now, Thursday's Daybreak. A song for Bruce in Belfast, soldering circuit boards in his dad lab. Surely a good excuse to play some Shed 7.
On the way, Upsetters, Felt, Inspiral Carpets, Caitlin Rose, DJ Shadow, plenty others, Hammonds, Voxes, Harmoniums.
Is it A, the Catherine Cracknell wheel? The Six Music newsreader is attached to a post and spun round to emit attractive spirals of news.
If you went to a gig last night, you're walking up in your gym jams and you would like to do a review of both, that's what this is about. And today, we've got Debs on the line. Debs, where are you from?
Well, from Frome, Somerset. Happy birthday, by the way.
Oh, it's very kind of you.
Are you bothered by socks not matching up in subtler respects than colour? Is it clear to you what I mean by that? Is it clear to you why I'm asking you all these questions? Is, in general, would you say much clear to you at all, or very little?
So listen, thank you so much for being with us this morning. It's always such a joy to have your company. I'm going to be back at 10:30 in the morning, and I've put together a very special mix to remember David Bowie on his birthday.
So thank you so much for waking up with me today. It feels really good to be in your ears this time of the morning. First day then, I'm just going to play you loads of really good records. Is that okay?
This is BBC Radio 6 Music.
AM.
Online.
Digital television.
DAB Digital Radio.
Your sound across the UK.
BBC Asian Network.
Coming back at you after a weekend away, it's Friction on the BBC Asian Network. The Desi Music Mothership is coming into land, people.
Who sang the songs Aashik Banaya Aapne, Tera Sarur and Zara Jhoom Jhoom?
This is One Extra.
We're here! Yeah!
Friday. How you feeling about Friday?
That's right, it is time to play a game of gas or trash.
Mr. Jams on 1Extra.
Big love to Steph London. Love that tune.
You know the vibes. But we're here till 1 o'clock in the morning.
She's finally here.
Yeah. It's Snoochie Shy on 1 Radio 1 Dance.
Oh, yes, it is. Welcome to a new era for BBC Radio 1.
3.
And put your feet up.
2. We got you. 1. This is Radio 1. Relax.
I'll see you next week if we're spared. I'm getting used to a 4-day week. 88 to 91 FM. Terry's next. After John, Radio 2 from the BBC.
Salutations, it is Monday, and guess what? Stand by, I'm about to ask you a deeply personal and probing question. I've missed you enormously, and it's lovely to be back.
This is your wake-up call.
Thank you for tuning in to the 4th of December.
Oh, and relax after all the build-up and all the chats and all the preamble. The big day is finally here. We are so super excited. I'm ready. The Prod Squad team, they're ready. Karen Kay tweeted she's got new batteries fitted in the bathroom radio. So she's ready.
Time for live music on Radio 2 in the morning, and I'm absolutely delighted to say that in our Maida Vale studios this morning, we are welcoming the wonderful Mr. Neil Diamond. Good morning, Neil.
Good morning, Ken. Now is the time to put the kettle on.
So it is. In which year did these 3 songs all reach number 1? Float On by the Flotos, Silver Lady by David Soul, and I Feel Love by Donna Summer.
1976.
Oh, 1 year out. I thought you had it there. 77. Bad luck. 77.
The BBC loses a chairman and director general in 2 days. We report on whether the corporation's independence is at risk. The German cannibal trial ends. The guilty man gets 8 years, but does it make a difference that his victim chose to be eaten?
And then the other thing is, have you ever lost your false leg in a stream?
Well, Sid, the manager online. Hello.
Hello, boys. Hello, Steve. Hello, Pussy.
Hello there.
Oh,
well, Skelvix. My goodness, how nice to see you.
We're an after scene.
And it's time for serious jocking with no gene. Just love the show. Bye.
Mayo, Simon Mayo.
Or just you then.
The right time's on and we want go home.
So compare your Wednesday. Here we go with some 3-word Wednesdays. Child forgot homework. That's Mark. Head-butting brick wall. That's Paul. Definitely skint now. That's Amanda. And a few other people.
You know the deal. You know what I need from you. Yes, you. 88291. If you'd like to say hello, we do love to hear from you.
Text 88291.
Just do what the lady says.
The way we begin is the way we always begin, with the Shiny Happy playlist.
Alex Lester, the Dark Lord, returns with our Betwixt and Between shoe of the week.
So a pop-loving poodle. So at the moment, I've got Pop Goes the Poodle. Pop Goes the Poodle. Pop Knows the Poodle. Pop Knows the Poodle? Yeah. Right, because he knows Pop. Or the poodle plays Pop. Okay, how about, Pop Master?
Look, they're stupid people's weddings. They're weddings of people you don't know. Why would you want to go to them?
This is BBC Radio 2. It's on the Sounds app, it's on your smart trousers, and 88291.
Desmond Carrington.
From home in Perthshire, Scotland. All right, I've got a message for you now. Let's say, dear Paul and Malcolm. Oh, you get a mention too, Malcolm.
How lovely.
Hello there. Stay with me from now until midnight so that we can share that which many call our kind of music, all of which comes from within the David Jacobs collection.
brand new day is dawning. A brand new day is here. Get out of bed and shake your ass, 'cause Mr. Moyles is here.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
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 Pub
quiz. Chappers.
Good morning, Cowbug fans. Here's Dominic Byrne. Bum 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 bum. Tina Dahili.
Bum, 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 bum.
David Lloyd Fitting.
Bum, 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 bum,
But will
bum, bum.
Freya join in today?
No, not today.
Oh.
Say goodbye, Mr. Fish.
Goodbye, Great Britain.
He's waving.
You're locked to the Essential Selection, 1FM's brand new dance show, devastating your radio for the next 2.5 hours. This is Pete Tong, your host for the proceedings, with a mountain of the hot stuff to plough through before 10 tonight.
Welcome back to Ibiza for the Radio 1 weekend. This is Dave Pearce, joined by a lot of hot people out there. Let me hear you make some noise.
Morning!
In new music we trust on BBC Radio 1.
Radio 1 in the big room on a Friday night.
Just Jules on Radio 1. Radio 1. Radio 1. BBC Radio 1's Big Weekend. Glasgow.
A celebrity and one of the listeners go head to head wearing 3 items of clothing. Both ask the same question. Whoever's closest to the correct answer keeps the clothes on. The loser takes a piece off.
Where it begins.
So my name's Adele Roberts, if you've not heard me before, and I now get to hang out with you every single morning at this time, Monday to Friday.
Good morning, everybody.
This is BBC Radio 1, and welcome to the exciting new sound of the official chart with Greg James for the first time ever on a Friday.
BBC Radio 1.
This is
The Live Lounge.
BBC Radio 1.
So Shape with a Pedal, Ed Sheeran in The Live Lounge.
Radio 1.
Newsbeat.
Knowing how the world enjoys blackness and seeing what happened to George, we, black people, get the feeling that people want our culture, but they do not want us. In other words, you want my talent, but you don't want me.
Come and give us your unpopular opinion. Something up till now that you've been scared to say.
Alan Partridge is not funny. I just don't get it.
No. I need to close the microphones because I can't swear. Hang on a second. No.
Christmas Day morning, live with Scott Mills on Radio 1. I love doing this.
Oh, what's occurring?
A horse for one, then.
What do you think it is? What is it? What do you think it is?
And then there was Natasha Bedingfield this morning. God, Moyles was flirting with her, wasn't he? Yeah. And then she said...
Well, I could give you one.
Dear Scott, how true to life is Scott Mills the musical?
Love you, bye.
Future BBC. BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Hello and welcome to You, Me and the Big C.
Brexitcast.
Brexitcast.
From the BBC.
Brexit means Brexit.
Come on then, let's hear it.
Well, I don't know what a podcast is.
Not sure that bit will make it.
Everything you know is a story, an idea that you've accepted until the day you cross it out and replace it with a better answer.
Alexa, who twisted the skewer?
BBC
Radio
1 Extra.
BBC Radio 2.
BBC Radio 3.
BBC Radio 4.
Radio 4 Extra.
5 Live.
6 is
Asian Network.
BBC World Service.
BBC Local Radio.
BBC Radio Scotland.
BBC Radio Wales.
BBC Radio Ulster.
This is the BBC, calling the world from London.
And from the British Broadcasting...
Thank God for the good old British BBC.
BBC.
This is the BBC. Any offers?
Don't challenge.
Sold.